Life Adjustment Center is a non-for-profit, non-sectarian organization that provides services to the developmentally disabled. I'm the founder and CEO of this organization. We started in 1991 with a small residential service, and now we expanded to all 5 boroughs in New York City and providing services to more than 250 individuals with developmental disability. Our mission is to improve the lives of the developmentally disabled individuals in the state of New York. I came to this country as a political refugee from former Soviet Union, where I used to work as a special education teacher. And when I came here, I continued my line of work, and I established these agencies to continue the services that I used to provide back in now Russia. We are going through a very difficult time as the state and the country as a whole. To put it simply, the country and the state just running out of money. And because we are using the public money, namely Medicaid, because our organization funded largely by the Medicaid, we're experiencing the funds being cut, services being reduced. Development basically came to a screeching halt over the last several years because of the budget crisis, and it becomes more and more difficult to operate, and most importantly, you have to provide the same kind of services for less money, and that's the main challenge that we probably most of my colleagues are experiencing today. It's a very interesting question because it has many layers of answers. For instance, Life Adjustment Center has been very efficiently operated the 20 years since its inception, and therefore we have some funds saved over the course of this period of time, and we have accumulated some assets. What happened lately, the funding source, which is OPW, did the review. They established that we had some excess, as they call, and they took it away from us. Our rate has been reduced. So my position is we are being punished for being efficient. Some other agencies who operate hand to mouth or in a deficit, they got scot-free because they continue receiving the same funding level. And that's part of my frustration. And as I've spoken with my colleagues who are in the same position, and that's what happened. The efficiency being punished, and we lost probably about $1 million in funding over the last year. But we continued providing good quality services. We're not cutting corners, and we're trying to survive. And that's the main challenge, having to do with the country running out of money. In my particular case, and in the case of Life Adjustment Center, we're a very lean and small operation. Our budget is about $10 million a year, our funding. I didn't get involved early on in advertising and putting our name out, but now I realized that we have to get into the 21st century, so to speak, and now we're trying to seek exposure, to look for new funding sources to augment our funds that we are losing, as I described earlier, and that's why we put our website, and we're doing all kinds of outreach through the media. The New York Times, a number of exposés that's been published over the last several months, the abuse that had taken place within the state-operated facilities, the number of deaths. In fact, it was the weekend before, it was an article again about number of deaths within the New York State OPW operation. And a lot of facts in those articles are taken out of context, and for lay people who are not part of this community, it sounds terrible. But unfortunately, we have no choice we have no way of explaining ourselves because we have no access. So it's very frustrating. Although most of those articles are about state-operated, but like I said, people at large don't make any distinction between the voluntary providers and those of the state. And we are being swept with this tide into a corner, and we're feeling, the entire field and most of my colleagues are feeling pretty much down lately with all these articles. Taking into account what's going on with the funding source, our main source is OPWDD, I have decided to venture out into different areas. And those different areas will be, one is housing for the veterans, and the other one is the child care, which in case of the veterans, obviously they will need a lot of rehabilitation coming back. And before it was my long-range plan, but the president announced recently that troops from Iraq will come home by the end of this year, which is next month. So we had to speed up the process of development. We are writing proposals, grant proposals, and we're trying to get this new program off the ground. What I'm basically trying to do is to diversify our funding sources. The child care, the special education child care, and the veterans housing. That's what we're looking for in 2012. I know that my colleagues, just like myself, are worried about the future of the field because we devoted our lives, I devoted my entire life to helping the developmental disabled. And it pains me to see I wouldn't call it destruction, but diminishing the significance of of care delivered to the developmental disabled, who are the most vulnerable people there are. And the reason I'm saying that is because mental illness or any other disorder could be controlled to some extent by medications. People could be normalized, the drug, alcohol treatment can normalize people, put them back into society, make them productive members. When you have a sub-average IQ, when a person is intellectually disabled, there is no medicine that will enhance their IQ. And that's what my colleagues understand, but unfortunately the politicians don't. And that's my message to the community at large.